Since you were talking about your sharing stories, what are your favorite stories from your
Well,
guests?
so one of my favorite stories we try on our podcast, because I'm based in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we try to kind of prefer other New Mexico businesses to some extent.
Okay.
Because people think nothing goes on in New Mexico, and we want to show, that there is a vibrant community here. So we interviewed these guys who live in a small town about 20 minutes out of Albuquerque, who make furniture. That they sell little coffee tables for $10,000.
Wow.
I mean, it's just crazy. And it's like, how do two people who make furniture out of literally dead trees that they salvage from the nearby forest, how did they get in a position where they're selling $10,000 coffee tables to multimillionaires in Germany?
Really?
Like, how did that all unfold? And basically what they discovered was really pay attention to quality, but also get yourself in the right place.
Exactly.
Like, they started out trying to sell their coffee tables in Arizona. Well, a Southwestern coffee table in Arizona,
Everybody's got
$500,
them. Yeah.
like my uncle makes those in his garage,
Yeah, exactly.
But if you can get to the New York Furniture Show, that becomes really valuable. And he told a really interesting story, which I think is going to be really useful to our guests, especially those of us in pure information professions where your prices really are variable. What he said was he was at a show and he was selling this big long board table, and he was selling it for $1,200. Nobody was buying it. So his friend from the neighboring booth came over, stuck a zero on the price. It became a $12,000 table. And within 15 minutes, people were fighting and bidding over the table because it became that much more valuable. Exactly. So even something that's a commodity like furniture can have, it's just a matter of putting yourself out there at that level and then really paying attention to the quality. I mean, they do use top grade turquoise, but they didn't start that way.
Right.
But as they could afford the better materials, they use the better materials. They pay attention to the details, because a lot of times the difference between an inexpensive something and an expensive something, I mean, clothes are a good example of this, is the details, is the stitching, is how things fit.
Right.
Exactly. And the more you can create that in your own business, the better off you'll be. And so I just thought that was a fascinating story, because who knew that these two people from this little teeny tiny town in New Mexico between Santa Fe and Albuquerque would have this huge business that supports their entire family.
Exactly.
They have 4 generations working in that business.
And another thing that this story tells is about the psychology of pricing, because sometimes all you have to do is double your pricing and suddenly you've got too many clients.
I had that happen with something that I was offering. I was offering this complete blueprint, this whole sales funnel, right? And I was offering it for $200. Nobody took it seriously.
Yeah.
So I offered it for $1,000, and I have people periodically, sign up for that. They don't complain about the price at all. They're like, all right, sure.
And I found that the people who pay the higher price are much easier to work with.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Because they know value, and they value. So, yeah.
They have skin in the game, so they have more invested in you for their success.
Exactly. Well, it looks like we're about time to go for a quick station break.